The first time Ethan saw Daniel, it was through a viewfinder. Ethan had been crouched in the corner of the university's art studio, trying to capture the way afternoon light slanted through dusty windows. When Daniel walked in, he moved with an unselfconscious grace, setting down a portfolio case that looked older than both of them combined. Without acknowledging anyone in the room, he'd gone straight to an easel by the north-facing window and begun to paint. For 3 weeks, they existed in the same space without speaking. Ethan would arrive early to photograph the empty studio. The paint-splattered floors, the anatomy sketches pinned to corkboard walls, the organized chaos of creative work. Daniel would arrive precisely at 2 o'clock, paint until the light faded, and leave without a word to anyone. It was Daniel's hands that fascinated Ethan first. The way they moved across canvas with absolute certainty, then paused, hovering, reconsidering. He'd started a series of photographs. Just those hands, stained with cadmium yellow and burnt sienna, creating something Ethan couldn't see from his angle. You know, it's creepy to photograph someone without asking. Ethan nearly dropped his camera. Daniel stood beside him, close enough that Ethan could smell turpentine and something earthier. Sandalwood, maybe. I was photographing your hands. It's different. Even to his own ears, it sounded absurd. Daniel's mouth quirked. Show me. They'd sat on the paint-stained floor while Ethan pulled up image after image on his camera's display. Daniel studied each one with the same intensity he brought to his painting, his dark eyes reflecting the tiny screen's glow. You see things, Daniel said finally. Most people look, but you actually see. So do you, Ethan replied, and gestured toward the easel. Can I? The painting was a portrait of the studio itself, but fractured, reimagined. Windows where walls should be, walls where floor should exist, the whole room folded into impossible geometry. It was disorienting and beautiful. It's how spaces feel to me, Daniel explained, standing beside him. Not how they are, but how they exist in my head. They began arriving at the studio together. Daniel would paint while Ethan photographed him, openly now with permission. They'd argue about color theory and composition, share cheap coffee from the vending machine downstairs, stay until security kicked them out. Ethan learned that Daniel had synesthesia, that colors had textures and sounds in his mind. Daniel learned that Ethan had nearly flunked out his first year because he'd spent every night wandering the city with his camera instead of attending lectures. They learned each other's silences, the comfortable kind that didn't need filling. The shift happened gradually, then all at once. It was late April, and they'd climbed onto the studio building's roof to watch the sunset. Daniel had brought his watercolors. Ethan had brought his camera. The sky was performing, streaked with orange and violet. It sounds like violins, Daniel said softly. The sunset, high and clear. What do I sound like? The question escaped before Ethan could stop it. Daniel turned to look at him, really look, the way he looked at subjects he wanted to paint. Silver bells, he said, and sometimes thunder. Ethan's heart was beating so hard he was certain Daniel could hear it. The space between them felt charged, significant. Daniel's hand rested on the roof's gravelly surface, inches from his own. I'm going to kiss you now, Ethan said. Unless you tell me not to. Daniel's answer was to close the distance himself. His lips tasted like the peppermints he constantly sucked on while painting. The kiss was tentative at first, a question being asked and answered, then deeper, more certain. When they finally pulled apart, Daniel's hand had found its way to the back of Ethan's neck, and Ethan's camera hung forgotten around his shoulders. I've wanted to do that for weeks, Daniel admitted. I've wanted you to do that for weeks, Ethan replied, and kissed him again. They graduated that spring. Daniel got into a prestigious MFA program. Ethan received an offer to assist a renowned photographer in Berlin. They should have ended there on the cusp of separate futures. Instead, they found an apartment in a city halfway between their dreams. Daniel painted in the converted sunroom. Ethan set up a darkroom in what was meant to be a second bedroom. They learned how to be together in the quiet spaces between their art, in the morning coffee rituals and late-night conversations that stretched until dawn. 5 years later, Ethan's photographs of Daniel's hands hung in galleries across 3 countries. Daniel had painted Ethan dozens of times, always with light surrounding him, always slightly out of focus, the way he existed in Daniel's synesthetic mind, shimmering, silver, essential. They still spent their afternoons in studios, Daniel painting while Ethan photographed. But now they went home together, to a space they'd built between them, filled with impossible light and the quiet sound of 2 people who'd learned to see each other truly.